This week's episode of Miraculous Ladybug was a crazy lore dump from every direction, so I want to go into the episode and break down everything we learned, particularly about Kagami's mother Tsurugi and her place in Gabriel's story, as well as Lila's story in this new arc. And most importantly, I want to talk about my theory that there isn't just one Lila running around, but that time travel is being used so that there are multiple Lilas from all across time, all interfering with Ladybug's journey here in the present in Season 6. Now, for those who haven't seen it, the episode was essentially about Adrien trying to impress Marinette with surprises and gifts, the same way Marinette is always doing for him with her creative projects. And to make things worse, he's comparing himself to Kagami and his twin cousin, Felix. But what he doesn't realize is that Kagami and Felix are actually going through something rough emotionally with their own parents and origins, involving them being Centipeople. For those who just didn't catch this in earlier episodes where it wasn't as explicitly explained, Adrien, Kagami, and Felix are all Centipeople, or Centimonsters as they're often called in the show. These are artificial beings created using the Peacock Miraculous that a few humans like Gabriel, Tsurugi, and Felix's parents all passed around in order to create their perfect children. This always comes with a horrible price for the wearer, however, with Adrien's mother dying, Felix's father dying, and Kagami's mother losing her eyes, with us finally getting to see below her sunglasses for the first time in this episode. Now, at this point in the story, Kagami's very aware that she's a Centiperson and carries around her own ring in order to guide her own destiny, as whoever holds the ring controls the Centiperson. But Tsurugi is a controlling mother, and eventually she breaks down in this episode and tries to get the ring back from Kagami. The problem for her is Kagami is a miraculous holder, and one that Marinette has trusted to keep her mother in line essentially. It's pretty sad to see that they're still having this kind of conflict in Season 6, and that Tsurugi doesn't want Kagami dating Felix. She very specifically wanted her dating Adrien, but even though Adrien and Felix are essentially the same character model and both come from crazy rich families, she doesn't think Felix is worth Kagami's time and will just end up breaking her heart. Even though the only real issue with Adrien was that he didn't like Kagami in return. Which just isn't the case with Felix, who started making moves on Kagami first. Regardless, with Kagami having her miraculous, she's able to protect her ring from her mother for a short time, but eventually decides that, along with Felix, that they need to give their rings to Ladybug in order to put in her magic yo-yo so that they can't be used against them. During the flashback, we get some interesting lore, not just for the show, but also its production, where we see Kagami in her new animation style for Season 6, but with her hairstyle from the earlier seasons. Now, the new hairstyles for the characters is very controversial, and a lot of people assume that with the team moving over to Unreal Engine, it was easier to make new hairstyles than it was to replicate the old ones. That may still be true overall, I guess, but here it looks like they wanted to really change most of the characters' hairstyles. Probably not Marinette's because she's the main character and they need some sort of consistency, but they wanted everyone else to feel like they were growing, evolving, changing, and just moving on in life as they get older. This isn't a great idea in animation in my opinion, where I feel like the hair is an important part of a character's design. There's some shows that already have characters who switch their hair up from episode to episode, especially more so in Japanese anime, but even then they're more likely to change their clothes and not so much their wild hair, as it's the hair that makes these characters seem so iconic and recognizable to fans, especially young fans. Even in live action shows where characters will often switch up their haircuts, some actors and especially actresses are forced to maintain a certain hair color due to fan expectations. Like Sabrina the Teenage Witch keeping her hair blonde despite the actress wanting her hair to go red for a few episodes. It's just a bit of a disappointment for me because I really like the characters' original designs and I don't really feel good about this switch up outside of the quality change. If they had Kagami walking around with this earlier version of her hair, I think it would be a lot better. And I don't just mean Kagami here of course, but I mean the cast in general. In this scene, we also got the real verbal confirmation that Kagami, Felix, and Adrien are all Centipeople, with some fans really debating against this for a long time now despite all the evidence in the show. It's really not even presented as a mystery at this point, as the end of Season 5 had the revelation that these three characters were created by their parents, and each of them clearly having suffered a great physical loss from the Peacock Miraculous in order to do this. But because these things weren't quite explicitly discussed by the adults, some fans wanted to believe that it was only Felix or maybe just some of the characters who are Centimonsters and not all three of them. This episode makes it 100% clear that all three of them are Centimonsters, however, and that there isn't some big twist later that one of them isn't. So hopefully we can just put that debate to rest now. Now, following this flashback, we got a really cool scene with Tsurugi and Lila, which is great because we haven't really been seeing Lila this season. Generally, when we see her, she's hiding behind some books, and even when using the butterfly Miraculous, she's in a weird disguise that hides a lot of her features. In this episode, however, we saw Lila appear in Tsurugi's home and even transform in front of her to her new form known as Chrysalis. This appears to be more her personal costume meant to show off her personality, and the big butterfly mask she's wearing is absolutely beautiful. But when it comes to dealing with people she doesn't know as Lila or Chrysalis, it seems that her goal is to appear as androgynous and as unidentifiable as possible. Which makes sense as she doesn't want Ladybug and Cat Noir interviewing the people that were attacked by her and getting her secret identity, something they already tried to do earlier in the season. Now, aside from just the visual differences that make this outfit different from the others, one thing I notice is that in this form, Lila is extremely tall. And that's where we really start getting into my theory that I have here that maybe there are multiple Lilas running around and multiple Chrysalis. This makes sense with the previous episodes where during akumatizations, it looked like there were multiple Lilas appearing in different sizes and with different voices all around the character about to be akumatized. And assuming it's not just the transformation that made her taller, which I think is a thing the Miraculous can do, but we also have this version of Chrysalis with very big, long hair that is very specifically gray. It's because of this that this version of Chrysalis looks more like a grandmother or mother, as opposed to a young teenage girl like Lila is supposed to be. It would make sense that if there are a team of Lilas that have been traveling back in time and all working together, maybe all working in these giant piles of crazy journals, that one of them would be the leader, and it would probably be the oldest version of them, and probably the version of them that started going back in time to mess with the flow of things, bringing us to our story here in Season 6. This could be why Lila seems to have the time and ability to be in so many different places at once, as there can be multiple versions of Lila all watching from the shadows or even from different disguises. Earlier this season, we met some new characters such as this dark girl, who many fans notice had animation and scene compositions matching the stock footage surrounding the character of Chrysalis. And with Lila being capable of putting on colored contacts and wigs and even just some makeup, it makes sense that this kind of character could just be Lila in disguise. But instead of maintaining this character's identity every single day as the one true Lila, there would be many Lilas running around with different identities, all spying on different parts of Paris, all reporting back to this Lila right here who's in charge of the big situations, such as with Tomoe Tsurugi. With Tsurugi being worried about Kagami, Lila was able to convince her to be akumatized again, this time with the plan just being to get the amok from Felix so that he would be under their control, meaning they could actually make Felix break up with Kagami and have their relationship end. The plan was to have Tsurugi fake defeating the Mega Akuma on her own once they got the ring off of Felix, thus allowing Tsurugi to earn the trust of her daughter. But with Felix and Kagami already hiding the ring from Marinette, it looked like Lila had no luck. So in the end, Lila was able to sneak away, and Tsurugi was able to fake defeating the Mega Akuma, but there seemed to be a moment where it was hinted that Tsurugi really did regret everything she did and wanted to give control back to her daughter. But then at the end of the episode, we had another meeting of the evil council of villains who were trying to get Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous. And among them, we saw that Tsurugi wasn't just still a member, but that there was a new diamond from among them. A new diamond replacing Gabriel after his death. All of this has made this one of the most insane episodes of Miraculous Ladybug, especially as a non-event episode closer to the middle of the season. But if there's anything I missed, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.